Hello, 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 and welcome to another Flourishing Conversations here, sponsored by the Georgia Black Home Educators. I am very excited tonight to have the amazing Denise Dixon here, and she will be talking to us tonight about being an entrepreneur, a teacher, an author, a microschool consultant. She is all those things plus more. And we are excited to have her here tonight. So let me just introduce Miss Denise Dixon. She is the founder of Tread Education. And so Tread Education has the Tread Academy. So this is academy that is a neurodivergent micro school for K through 12. Miss Denise has also had the opportunity to recently expand her school, and she will tell us more about that. She is also the author of an amazing new memoir that has come out to really chronicle her journey when she was navigating her journey from being in the classroom to being this entrepreneur and to having her micro school. So we're going to bring Miss Denise onto the stage and let her tell us more about herself. I am excited to have you here. I'm gonna say a little piece about when I first met you. So I met Denise I think I first met her actually at a hybrid school conference years ago. It was the Kennesaw State Hybrid School Conference and everything. And that was the first time I met her. The second time I got a chance to be around her is when I joined the Black Microschools ATL group, because we are both members of that amazing group of women who get together and support each other in these educational endeavors. But the last time that I got to see Denise in action was at the Georgia Capitol. And we're going to talk more about that later. But I mean, lobbyists, y'all got a idea. You like, oh, lobbyists are this, but no. Miss Denise here has figured out a way to harness a particular superpower that so many of us would love to have. So, welcome to Flourishing Conversations, Denise. Tell us more
Thank
about yourself.
you. And thank you for having me. So my name is Denise Dixon. I am the founder and director of Tread Educational Services and Tread Academy. My background is in teaching. When I was younger, I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. That was always going to be my career goals. During college, I more went on the path of special education. So I taught in special education for public school for a while. And then my journey led me to Tread Academy, which I guess we'll talk a little bit more about in a little bit. In addition to that, I am also a military member. I'm in the United States Air Force Reserves. Been serving proudly for 16 years, and I love every moment of it. I'm a wife and I'm a mom and I'm so many other wear so many other hats, and so there's a lot going on. But this is education is definitely my passion, so I am happy that God took me down this path. You on mute.
I'm pretty sure that so many of your families are also happy that you have taken this path. Wait a minute, you're an active Air Force or reservist right now?
I am. Been serving for
Girl, you
16 years.
still go on your weekends. All right
Mhm.
now.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm scared of
Yeah.
you. I'm scared
It's
of you.
it's
Like,
not very harder the more responsibility I take on, but
because I'm like, wait a minute. Like, hey, I was like, you got a lot. No, for real though, you have a lot on your plate. I mean, that does say a lot. And then to proudly serve our country. And we thank you. We thank you for your service and actively pray for all our service members who are taking on that mantle. You talked a little bit about when you first started to come into being the micro school. So I wanted to know, you are by profession and education a special education teacher, and you have a very specific, I think, reading certification, right?
Yep.
And so, what caused you to transition from being in the public school space to the micro school space? And I often say, what was that thing that make you want to transition to really be an entrepreneur, or as we have titled this podcast,
Right.
Teacherpreneur?
Yes. So that is a very rich question because my story is a lot, but I'll give the very condensed version. So when I first started In public school, I was working in special education, and then some years down the line, the school district offered for us to do to be able to get Orton Gillingham certified. I had no idea what Orton Gillingham was, but I said I'll go, right? And so when I went, I was floored by the program. I was like, yes, let's do this. And so I took it back into my classroom. I was working in an MOID classroom, so intellectual disabilities. But I truly believe that no matter the ability or disability, all children can learn, no matter what it is. And so I took that program into my classroom, and it was working wonders. And I was like thoroughly surprised. So I paid to get the second portion of, so there's like levels to it. So I went and paid and got the second level because it was like a 1 week course. It's like a crash course. You really can't grasp the whole thing in a week. So I paid to go to the more advanced course, and I was like, I'm really loving this. And so the aspects of it, I really want to take back into the classroom and do some very creative things with it. But of course, with the way that public school kind of stifles you as a teacher, I was not able to do that. And so I was not satisfied with my ability to be able to educate children the way that I knew would work best, right? Because we need to be able to have that creative space. And so I made the decision to transition into a charter system, because that charter system, they really valued their self as far as providing that, I wouldn't say non-traditional, but a different approach to education. And so I was like, okay, they're going to come in, they're going to revitalize the schools. I want to be a part of that work. So I transitioned over to the charter system, and I still wasn't satisfied, right? And my whole life, I wanted to be in education. I wanted to change the world. And so not having that satisfaction was not working for me. But I was still going to press through. Of course, they were in the early stages. So I was like, I'm going to press through and see, how this works out. But I had one defining moment that I wrote about in my book. But I had one defining moment in my career where I had a first grade student bring a gun to my classroom. He did not bring the gun to the classroom to harm anyone. It was more a cry for help. He wanted to like show and tell. And there's a whole lot more that goes into it that the listeners can read about. But that wasn't my issue. Like I was fine. Like I just said, I'm in the military. Like I wasn't scared. That was not the issue. My issue was the way that the school district was, the system, the charter system that was in, the way they responded to the situation. That was a deal breaker for me. Because we have to be able to reach children holistically, on that social emotional level. Like nothing was there. They did everything they could to sweep it on the rug so that it didn't make the news. As a teacher, no one checked on me. It was like, okay, get back into the classroom, do what you're supposed to do. It was a very disheartening situation. So I made a decision in that moment that, I cannot educate children the way that I know they need it, and I cannot care for them on a human level, right? Because I feel like we treat children like just another number in school. And so in order to get that human interaction, build those relationships, I needed to do something different. So I was going to quit that that day. I did not. Actually ended up the way God will have things. I actually ended up being called up to military duty for a couple months. So I ended up going to military duty. So that gave me some time to kind of recuperate from the situation. I went back to the school, finished out the school year, and then I put in my resignation. So kind of cycling back to the Orton Gillingham, I was using it in the school where I was, but I was also doing tutoring on the side. And so I literally went home and told my husband, I said, I'm going to open a tutoring center and we'll see how this goes. And so he was very supportive of it. So that's what I did. I opened a tutoring center. And I will say that in my career trajectory, I never wanted to be in the space of entrepreneurship, of business. Like that was not a career choice that I would have chosen for myself. I wanted to be a principal and then maybe a professor at a college, superintendent, something like that. I did want to be able to move up in the education realm and make a difference on a bigger level, but I would never have foreseen myself as an entrepreneur. So that's how I ended up in this space.
Wow, that is a lot. Where you had to, but I guess because you said you are a service member, it said it wasn't about the actual weapon. It was about how are you valuing me in this space at that time. And I can totally understand that. I do think a lot of times that people look at the homeschool community and they think that as a whole we don't value teachers. And I always like to dispel that myth, because as a Black woman, I look at teachers and I think about the fact that when Black women were first getting their educational opportunities and credentialing, it was always as a nurse or a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And so many of us would not be here if it had not been for a teacher. I mean, I would think back to Hampton University was started under their tree by a teacher. We think about Mary Kyle Methune and teacher,
Mm-hmm.
the 6 AAA, that movie talks about that. So we go back to the fact that even Katherine Johnson, who ended up being the human computer for NASA, she had a teacher that recognized her potential and told her parents, look here, this one is special. So I do understand that space where it's like, of course, we here in our community value teachers, and we're going to give them lots of more opportunities to be exposed to teachers when they're being in their very creative space,
Mm-hmm.
especially with your microschool. And so one of the things I notice about your microschool is that you specifically say you're a neurodivergent K through 12 school. And so, of course, having your that Gillingham certification, that means that you are probably focused on literacy and phonics in a way that just creates amazing impact. What are some of the other ways in which you feel like your micro school is also positioning your students for success and bridging those gaps in from traditional education?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so definitely the literacy is a big piece of it because we have too many seniors graduating from high school reading on third and fourth grade levels, and that's unacceptable,
Ooh.
right? So we definitely push the literacy piece, really digging deep into the phonics and then the reading comprehension, even the communication piece of it, all of those things. So we harp a lot on that. Additionally, so we are big on social emotional learning, like I mentioned before. I truly believe so I serve neurotypical and neurodivergent students. We have students that are on the autism spectrum. We have students who are gifted and they just did not thrive in the social setting of public school, right? So I have a wide range of students, but they all do well in that space, right? That inclusive space that we've provided for them. um, but for all of them, social emotional learning is important, right? Because you have to be able to reach a child on a emotional level, um, and build that relationship in order to even start teaching them anything. Because if they don't feel like you care about them, there is no learning happening. And so we take time to build those relationships. Secondly to that is them understanding their emotions, because too many times in our Black community we have, you know definitely young men, but young men and women incarcerated because they made stupid decisions in the moment because they didn't know how
Mhm.
to handle their
Yeah.
emotions. And so we have to take time while they are young to definitely hone in on that. We can't just be all academics, because they can be the smartest thing in the world and not have any common sense, any social sense, any emotional sense, and then go out and do something crazy, right? And so I want to do whatever I can to help stop that, because they are building jails off of our literacy scores, off of what they know that our Black community is going to go out there and do when they're not able to handle those emotions. And so definitely want to help out in that area. We are also big on vocational training. So my middle and high schoolers, they go out and do internships on Friday. So we just became a Monday through Thursday program this year. And so on Fridays, our middle and high schoolers, they are paired with internships for things that they are interested in. So for example, I have a group of students who works with a film producer on Fridays, and they're learning how to make movies and do all this stuff, and they have a great time. I have a group of students who works with a realtor, teaching them real estate stuff, going out and showing houses, right? Because a lot of students, they're not going down the college path, right? And just because they're not going down the college path doesn't mean that they don't have they don't have value to add to our community, right? And so all we got to do is hone in on what it is that they actually want to do and get them started early in that. So I'm very intentional about trying to get them exposed to a lot of different things, right? So just because one group is doing film and one is doing design and one is doing real estate, they get to switch it around so they get exposed to a little bit of everything. So that as they do progress, if they do decide college is not their path, they've been exposed to a lot of trades and they can figure out what it is that they want to do next and jump into that because they already have the skills.
Yeah, that's interesting when you were talking about. I read that statistic recently where they were saying like the National Assessment for Adult Literacy said that 2/3 of students who are not reading on that fourth grade level will end up in jail, and that they are actively looking at urban communities to get that number to build jails for the future. And that's sad. That is absolutely sad. So we greatly appreciate you jumping in there with the literacy, actually bridging that gap, because it means so much to so many families. But also the very interesting thing that you brought up, that you were talking about, that Fridays. So your Fridays are for internships. And so that so how many students do you have in that program right now?
10 students.
10 students. And so they get the opportunity to go out and do they're all high school?
All high school. Yep.
All high school. Okay, that's amazing. Kind of wish we had something like that over here and everything. I would like I wanted to talk more about the actual like school, and when you got into the actual ability to try to make your school. And
Okay.
you said you transitioned from thinking about to a tutoring service to a school. So at what point did you recognize you're like, you know what, I'm doing the tutoring service, I probably need to go ahead and push the last bit of this envelope? Because you say I'm not an entrepreneur, but your journey ended up here. So
Yes.
it's like, what was that in between portion where you were like, I need to change something? Because you did talk about you went from traditional school that was lacking your creativity that you needed to solve problems, to the charter school situation where you say, okay, you know what, I need a more appreciation and care for my safety in that way, not just physical but emotional safety. And then of course you have we got to shout out the men who are supportive of the switch up that
Oh
we
yeah.
do in our
Absolutely.
lives. And you said, okay, I'm leaving this job and I'm
Yeah.
gonna go over here and I'm gonna make this tutoring service. But ultimately, you that support, you made it into a school. What made you switch even more to go a little bit further and say, I'm gonna have this school?
Yeah, so funny pieces. I did not choose that on my own. Again, I feel like all these paths I went down were just kind of like thrown in my lap and was like, here, Denise, do this thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it, right? And now I'm absolutely
Just
loving what
obedient in spirit.
being. Yes, because if it was up to my own strength, I would be like, no, this is not working. But so what I was tutoring, and I had a group of the parents that I was, that their children I was tutoring. They were like, hey, you should homeschool my child. You should homeschool my child. And I was like, yep, nope, not doing that. Because I still needed to make money. So I was tutoring, which is good money, but I was also working part-time. And I was like, if I homeschool, like I can't work part-time. I have to homeschool your children all day long. And so they was like, no, we think you should really do it. And I was like, so they were talking to me. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try this out. So I had an interest meeting and a lot of parents showed up. And I was like, I can't back out of this now, right? So they showed up. A lot of parents showed up, but I had 7 parents commit to bringing their children. And so we started the first year really as a homeschool group with 7 students, but they were coming to me every day. And I was, doing the homeschool thing in the building. I was still tutoring, but I was homeschooling, and it was great. It was great for the first 2 months, right? But I was very, very discouraged because the first year, and again, viewers, they can read this in my book, but the first year I was like, this is not meant for me. I had my baby 2 months early, unexpectedly. She was in a NICU. I was in a hospital in high risk unit. Didn't know if I was going to make it. Literally, both of us almost died. And I was like, right. But God brought us both out. And I was like, okay, let's get back to this. So jumped back in around that January timeframe, and things were going great. I was so excited. And then I got called to military duty for a month unexpectedly. So I was like, okay. But I had a parent that was there helping me. So, they jumped in. I've always had a great group of parents. So while I was out with the baby, the parents were helping out. When I had to go, the parents were helping out. But right when my military orders were ending, the pandemic hit. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do with all these kids online? So I was just so confused. And I was like, there's no way that this is the path that I'm supposed to be going. Like the first year was almost a wash. And I feel like the kids have learned nothing because I've been gone. And so I was very down on myself. Like, I cannot educate these children the way I would want to. Right. But during the pandemic, I really took some time to reflect, because we were working online, we were doing the thing, and I was getting a lot of phone calls from parents who are like, this online thing isn't working for me. I need something different for my child. The phone calls were coming in, and I was like, I have to figure out how to make this work. Parents need something different, and I have to, make it different. I have to figure it out. And so I did. I took some time to really revamp what tread would look like. And so going into that next school year, I said, we're just going to do everything the very non-traditional way. I'm going to meet students where they are. We're going to have very unique and personalized learning plans. So I did the whole thing. I just revamped revamped everything from the year before. And we've been running with it ever since. That's when Tread Academy was born. So definitely not something that when I went into the tutoring center, I wasn't thinking this is going to become a school. It was going to be a tutoring center. But if it had not been for those parents, I don't even know if I would even be in this space. So I'm forever thankful for them for pushing me into this space. And I'm forever thankful for, the parents who continue to support Tread and what we offer. Because without that community and those great group of parents, I could want to offer an amazing educational program, but if nobody wants to take it, then Tread doesn't exist, right? So the fact that I have families that continue to stay every year, and more families, and we just keep growing, means that there is a need, and I'm going to continue to serve that need. If there's a need that comes to us and we're not quite equipped for it, I'm going to figure out a way to make it happen.
That's amazing. I was wondering, because I'm looking at your logo in the corner up there, and I see Tread. Where did Tread come from, the title?
So, funny story again, short version. I was riding to church one morning. I was still in public school, right? And I was riding to church one morning, and Reverend Jesse Jackson was on the radio, and he was talking about incarceration, all types of things, right? And so I was just writing down different notes for things he was talking about. And some words kind of stuck out to me, and I kind of was highlighting them. And so fast forward, when it came time to start the tutoring center, I went back to my notes, because I keep sticky notes everywhere. I got lots of notebooks, like I write everything down. So I'm just looking through different things, and so I was like, here's some words that I underlined, right? And so I started picking those words out, and I said, okay, I want whatever the name is to be an acronym, right? So that it's a little bit deeper, right? And so I picked out the several words, and I narrowed it down to these 5 words. And so TREAD is an acronym that stands for Teach, Reach, Educate, Achieve, and Dream, because those are the 5 things, the 5, I would say, pillars that I believe is important to building that holistic child that I want to build as they come through my program.
That's great. So you have Teach, Reach, Educate, Achieve, and Dream is the TREAD way. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure your parents, they are really bought into everything you do, because like I said in the beginning, when I met you pretty much for the 3rd time, and I really like, how you meet people over and over again, and you're like, what's their name? What's their name? But the third time that you is stuck, because you had something really amazing going on, and I considered it to be harnessing a power that a lot of people don't realize. So you said that in your journey, you had the transition from tutoring service happened because the parents were hunting you down. Mm-hmm. And then after that, of
Crazy.
course, you left for service, and a parent was like, "I got your back. Don't worry about it." And then lastly, you were like actually doing the micro school thing. And in this space, you have a parent group that have functioned as lobbyists for weeks. Well, man,
Months.
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 Now I think it's been months because last year during the Georgia legislative session, Denise kids and their mamas and dads, they brought their children to the Capitol to stand on the line and to get the attention of representatives and say, hey, we need for you to sign this school choice bill. And these children, well, there was one little baby in particular. He had everybody in the palm of his hand with how he could eloquently, excitedly, and passionately tell the reasons why he wanted his school to prosper financially and everything. And I remember one time he was talking to somebody and they said, well, what do you think about like the people who work there? He said, oh, Mr. Denise served better. I was like, see, that's all I need right there. You done made my day. You just said the woman deserved better. I was like he was in your bills or something.
Right.
I was like, he was just a charismatic little fella for real. And so I want you to talk more about that whole space in which you were working with Georgia Can and had your parents who because that was really cool and amazing to see and in that space.
Yeah. So again, accident, right? And I keep calling this accident, but honestly, I'm a Christian woman and I know that everything that comes my way is God sent, and He's not going to put me in these spaces if he's not going to give me the tools to be able to handle it, right? So accident, but not an accident. So I came across Georgia Can on Facebook, and I was like, what is this? So I'm joined the group, looking through things, and when I found out about this bill, I was like, yes, I need this, right? Because the whole time that TRED Educational Services and TRED Academy is happening, I'm still working a part-time job. I still do because I love my job. But I work as a special education advocate for a law firm. But the whole time this is happening, I'm like, we need some sustainability, and this bill looks like it would definitely give us some sustainability. So of course at TRED, we take every opportunity to turn anything into a field trip. We will get out that building and go do something. So I told the students and I told the parents, hey, there's this opportunity. So let's go down to the Capitol, and we practice communication and speaking. And so we went down there, definitely not with the intent of the fact that we would be there every week, right? Started with a small group, and felt like we were getting great results. The kids loved it. They were interacting with the lawmakers. It was definitely a great experience. And so when we came back and we were debriefing and talking about it, I said, hey, y'all, we should do this again. So with the amazing group of parents that I have, I kind of got together with them and I said, hey, we need to be able to go down there every week. We need to advocate for this bill. We got to build sustainability. Like, TRED is at a good spot where, it's thriving where it's at, but we need to be able to have some type of sustainability. And the state needs to be able to give us some funding. So let's go ahead and make this happen. So the parents amongst themselves said, okay, I'm going to take this week. I'm going to take this week. And they made their schedules happen. I put the kids in the van every week and we was like, okay, we're going down there. And every week that they were able to go down and speak, they were getting better, right? When I say they were getting better, they were able to speak about the school, right? Because in the beginning, I had to kind of coach them through, well, why do we need this? What is TRED about, right? Even though they were going there and they were getting everything they needed, being able to speak about, the big picture of TRED is, I would say, difficult for children, right? So we were kind of coaching them through that, but it just started to flow for them, right? And then being able to bring in that legal jargon about sustainability and Senate bills and things like that they have never really been exposed to. That was a learning experience in itself for them and for me and for the parents, right? And so it was just, every week was just a different experience. It was a great experience. And I really also like the fact that they were able to interact with lawmakers who were opposed to it and those who were for it, because they were able to see what the real world is like, right? Because you're not going to go out there advocate for something and everybody's on your side, right? So when somebody opposes you, how do you interact with that, right? What is your response going to be? Again, it ties into that social emotional, because if somebody says something that you don't like, how are you going to respond? Especially in a setting like this. So there was just so much that you could take away from being able to do this. And when we saw that the bill was actually gaining some traction, we was like, okay, we got to keep going. And then, and Stephen was great. So we were like, we got to keep supporting him and his organization. So that's how that all happened. And we are still doing that today, right? Even though the bill has passed, there's still so much stuff that has to happen. So we are actually right now in the midst of a sustainability campaign that's going to kick off next week with National School Choice Week. So we're excited about that. But just being exposed to that opportunity has opened up so many other doors for us to go down to help build sustainability statewide and hopefully even nationwide.
Yeah, that's that's really cool what you were talking about. I think the kids being down there and that they got better every single week. I think so many of us as adults, people are talking to adults about your civic responsibility, your civic responsibilities. But has anybody taken the time to build the civic confidence that it takes to stand in a place with those that you feel like are more well read about a particular topic, or as you said, are absolutely opposed?
Mm-hmm.
That these kids can stand in the space and say, okay, I respect what you say, but at the same time, respectfully, let me express to you why this is so important and everything. And then the children are the absolute representation of what a micro school or an independent alternative school situation can provide. If you want to learn more about Tread Academy and the amazing opportunities they have, where they have student internships, I would say almost like welcome to life field trips a little bit.
Yes, real world learning. That's what we about.
Real world learning. You could check out Tread Academy. I know Denise was talking more about the Promise Scholarship. So if you want to learn more about the Promise Scholarship, which is a $6,500 education savings account funds that can be applied toward tuition, tutoring services, also other special services that are needed for support and things like that, curriculum and a variety of things. Please go to look up at more at mygeorgiapromise.org to find out more information about that. Finally, I wanted to make sure we really touched on what your next is looking like, because you've been through. So we see some things here. And there's no accidents with you. I mean, there really aren't any accidents. There's things that are pushing you into the next and pushing you to the next. Because when you said you work as an advocate for a law firm, I was like, that experience leaned into the kids being able to effectively lobby and be in that space. Now that you've had this experience across the spectrum as an educator, even now into this space, I noticed that you have a platform where you're trying to really help those who are coming behind you to find their voice, to find their passion, and be able to start their own micro schooling journey.
Yeah. So I definitely want to be able to help the current generation, next generation of teachers that's coming through, and they feel kind of stuck, right? Because I talk to teachers. I'm still very much vested in what the public school has going on, right? And what the teachers are doing. Because I always like to say, we are not against public school by any means. We just know that it doesn't work for every child. And so we got to be able to provide alternative education models for them. But because I am a special education advocate, I'm still vested in what the public school is doing, because I'm having to talk to the school districts and work with parents and things like that. So in that, and I still have teacher friends. So in that, I'm meeting teachers, talking to teachers, and they feel stuck, right? They feel defeated. They feel how I felt. And anybody who feels the way I felt that last year of my teaching, teaching in public school, like I was going to work every day crying on the way to work. I felt so defeated. I didn't know what to do. Like it was the worst feeling. And if people are telling me that they feel like that, they need to get out fast, right? Because it's just not a good feeling. But they don't know that there's alternative options out there, right? When you go to college and you take all these classes and you get your degree and you take your test and you get your certification, that is the route that you're going to go. I'm going to go to a school and I'm going to teach because that's what I've been taught to do, and that's what I know. But there are other opportunities out here to educate children. And so I want to be able to help them through that process. I feel as though I've failed enough, right? I wouldn't call myself the master of Microschools, right? But I've failed enough and our school is successful enough where I am at a stage where I now want to help teachers who want to come out the classroom. And I just want them to know that, sometimes you're just going to have to step out on faith, because that's what I did. When I called my husband and said, I'm quitting, I'm not coming back, I didn't know what he was going to say. I wasn't prepared, but I knew I couldn't go back there. So something had to happen, right? And so when he said, okay, I was like, all right, I'm stepping out on faith, right? I've never been in the world of business. I didn't think about entrepreneurship and all those types of things. I in the military, structure, public school, structure. And so when you're out into the entrepreneurship world, I don't want teachers to feel like I can come out and just teach, right? Because you can't just come and teach. You actually have to continue to run the business in order for it to be successful. And that's a world of things that a lot of people don't know. And so I want to be able to coach them through that. In addition to that, right, I feel like the trend, right, there's a lot of different micro schools and a lot of different approaches to what micro school can look like. My personal opinion, right, is that Tread Academy has a method that works. And so instead of people having to reinvent the wheel, right, I want them to be able to learn the Tread way and go open up a school that's kind of like the Tread way. It doesn't have to be called Tread, but here is a blueprint for what I know works for children, right? Especially when you're in that neurodiverse, inclusive environment. And so that's what I want to do. In addition to that, I also want to be on a platform where I'm able to speak on state and national levels about sustainability and why non-traditional education models and why school choice should be a normal conversation, right? We are not trying to push anybody away from the traditional cookie cutter method of public school. If that works for them, it works for thousands of millions of children, right? But for the group of students that it doesn't work for, they should have a space that they are able to learn in without it being without having the pushback that we are getting from the political sense of education. And so that is my new goals. And so as I bring people into, Tread, the brick and mortar that we have now, that's able to sustain itself and run. So I can coach them. Hey, I need you to go do this at the Stone Mountain location while I'm out here working on bigger and better things. In addition to that, last thing is we are also now going to be expanding in the local area, right, to some other counties, surrounding counties as well, because we are getting inquiries from students from different counties. And so we also want to be able to expand in our current space as well.
Yeah, so one of the things Denise also has an amazing book where it kind of chronicles her journey and some of the things that she has gone through in starting her school that is expanding, because you have 2 locations right now, right?
I do. Mm-hmm.
And you just heard her say she on her way to a 3rd location in an additional county. And so if you want to learn more about that, please go to treadeducation.com. There is also to get in touch with her, because she says she would love to speak on more platforms. So Denise, if you check her out, denisedixon.com, her book is available for purchase, and we will have the affiliate link to this in the show notes at the end of this. But please take the opportunity to read her book. I was so proud when I saw you on it always have been a dream of mine to go ahead and be an author and get my book together, which is probably around here in sticky notes somewhere.
I know, right?
It's in pieces. Right. But I saw you doing a book signing and I was like, oh, she's doing a book signing. Look at her making it big time, doing it big. So just very excited.
Humbling experience, I would say. So I appreciate everybody who has supported me in my book thus far. Again, accident, but not an accident that this book even came to be. So I am just appreciative of everybody that supported it.
Yes, and so we are going to make sure that we continue to support Denise and the things that she is doing, and also be a part of this, learning more about her journey. She and I will be working together with the Kennesaw State Hybrid Schools, and we will be talking about parent engagement on that platform, and that will be in, I want to say, April.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That'll be at the end of April. But if you want to meet Miss Denise even more recently than that, she talked about Georgia Can. And so Georgia Can is an organization here that works for school choice, works on school choice issues here in the state of Georgia. Shout out to our man Stephen Quinn over there, who's like, I
Yes.
think he's in, I think he go to every county. I was
Yes.
like Steve, what does what do your mileage on your car look like, dude? Because you are everywhere. I was looking up
Moving.
at something else. He was in Columbus, Georgia. He was here. He was there. But yeah. So we will be at the Georgia. I'm sorry, the Atlanta School Choice Expo, which is actually next Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a school choice expo where they have I think 150 plus school choice options there. Everything from homeschool co-ops to microschools to private schools to hybrid school situations, and all the counties public school will be represented. Atlanta, Clayton, DeKalb, and also in Gwinnett, places like that. In addition to those representation from the counties, there will also be a huge amount of charter schools that are also be there that can be represented. If you are thinking about attending the 2025 Atlanta School Choice Expo, Denise will be there. Myself will be there. Also, Georgia Black Home Educators is one of the planning teams members to help with planning this, and so we're very excited to be a part and to have this opportunity. So please, if you get an opportunity, go ahead and register at georgiacan.org/Atlanta-school-choice-expo. Is on the screen right there in front of you. Again, if you want to reach out to Denise, you can actually reach her at her website that has her name, Denise Dixon. We are very excited. And so I just want to say to you, like I say to so many of the people who come on our podcast, we appreciate you and the work that you do in this community. It is wonderful to be in a space. And I always say that nothing that we do is by accident. It is Father filtered with love, with beauty. And so we pray that your education adventure, because it's an adventure. You talk it wasn't a venture, it was an adventure.
Yeah.
So that your education adventure continues to be beautiful, wonderful, and you have all the support you need. And so I would just like to say to would you like to say anything else before we sign on?
I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come on and tell my story and kind of where I stand around the world of school choice. So I really appreciate it. Keep up the good work that you are doing in our community. But thank you to everyone. And if you have any inkling, to step out and do something in a non-traditional sense of education, please take that leap of faith and do it.
Yes, please do. And so once again, it's DeniseDixon.com. If you want to learn more about TRED, go to TREDeducation.com to learn more about her school. And so for us here at Flourishing Conversations, like I said, I am Nicole P. Doyle, the Community Engagement Concierge. How may I be of service to you? So we will be having our Flourish 2025 third annual conference is coming up this year, and we are very excited about all the things that we are bringing this year. We have over 12 experts who will be there to talk to you everything about homeschooling from through high school, even into the Ivy League, because guess what? In the homeschool community, we have children who attend the Ivy League. Yes, we do. We still do. There are children. There's nothing that is a cap on homeschooling, just like any other method of schooling. I think the most important thing is you find the pathway that works for you as a parent, and you go in with all you got to find your resources and support. So whether you're thinking about homeschooling or you're not homeschooling, you just want a place to talk with other parents about trying to find your own direction, come to the Flourish Homeschool come to the Flourish Homeschool events. And we right now, if you type in the word podcast, you get 35% off of the tickets right now. And once again, I would like to thank you for your time. Welcome to Flourishing Conversation. Keep on having those amazing educational adventures. See y'all later. Bye.